Appreciate the introduction from Tom. As he mentioned, I'm Dr. Tyler Roberts from the University of Alabama, here with my colleague Lee Laska. We'll introduce ourselves here in a second. I did want to point out, we'll get into our presentation about our micro video library. Did want to point a couple of other names out on this list. Dr. Claire Major, she is our faculty director and was instrumental in pulling this together and was really the inspiration, I think, one of our previous resources in terms of how we approach this project. And then Dr. Laura McNeil, who I believe is here and a part of the Florida Instructional Design Network, helped us make this opportunity and connection, and was a big part of creating the videos and a big part of creating this library. So we're ready to get started. Okie doke. We've done quick introductions. I'll just say a little bit about me and let Lee tell a little bit about himself. So Tyler Roberts, I've been at the University of Alabama now for about 15 years in some capacity. I spent about 10 years in student services, so academic advising in athletics, in pre-law, in engineering, and then recently transitioned to instructional design. So moved over to be the Assistant Director of Instructional Design in what we call OTIDE, our Office of Teaching, Innovation, and Digital Education. And then last year, I moved to our newly formed Faculty Teaching Academy, which for those who are unfamiliar, it's very similar to a Center for Teaching and Learning at your institution or at comparable institutions. So Lee, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. Lee Laska, the team lead for Creative Academic Media Services. We're the online production studios for everything for UA Online. Any media that you see during those courses are produced here. We've got a number of studios, and you'll see some of that stuff in the slides coming up. Prior to that, I was a contractor with the U.S. Army for about 10 years. And before that, I was at Norfolk State setting up their production facilities for as we started doing online learning at the early 2000s. And prior to that was just more advertising, feature films, and NFL films. So I've been with the university now at Alabama for about 3 years, coming up in May.
Excellent. All right, so we're going to talk about these videos, but we thought that it might be useful to have a visual of what we're going to be talking about as we get started. So we're going to show a quick sizzle reel. Lee, I don't know if there's any introduction that you want for this, but
yeah, there's just a little quick thing of what we've started to do, and we're going to be expanding the scope of these as we go forward. But here's just a quick thing. It may look a little staggery because of how many people we have on this, but we'll also have we'll probably provide like links and website information for you to be able to view it better later.
Perfect.
AI is very good at helping to craft assignments that enhance students' critical thinking skills
and deployment. Moreover, faculty are adopting AI at a slower rate than students.
Here's how to get started. Begin by identifying a clear course goal, then compile a list of topics that will be covered in the course.
In this example, we'll be calibrating the essay to be 75% true and 25% misleading.
Remember to review the AI's grading and feedback before sharing it with students.
Instructors have a duty to teach them and to engage deeply with material without the crutch of immediate AI assistance.
Concerns about academic misconduct are understandable.
These are some of the things that we'll be doing in the future moving forward. We've been doing a lot of it already, but we're going to keep expanding our efforts, more workforce training, entry level, to get people more comfortable with the idea of AI and to realize that while it is a disruptive force, it's also a tool. And as you saw from that one graphic there, students are using it well in advance of what faculty have embraced. So we're trying to bring that, we'll call it a literacy level, up with it and being able to leverage it better.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we know we do not have infinite amount of time here today. We've got about 30, 45 minutes. So we are not going to, the state of AI in higher education could be a days-long event. So we're going to hit the high points of things that are relevant to our thought process and things that are relevant to our conversation here today. So as our video alluded to, really when we approach this problem, and we'll talk a little bit about our AI journey, but we really wanted to adopt a position of thinking about our faculty and thinking about all the demands that they have on their time. So we see the AI overwhelm is real. We could really characterize this as faculty overwhelm is real as well. So our faculty are expected to research, they're expected to teach, they have service demands, they're being pulled in many different directions. So the time for professional development, we really want to be thinking about, what's the value add for faculty in anything that we create. So whether it's an AI teaching resource or a seminar or coffee talk, anything that we're doing, we want to be thinking about the position of our faculty and make sure that it's something that's going to be additive to them, that's going to make their lives easier, more efficient, and again, that they're going to find the value in anything that we present. So a few things that we think about, and we'll talk about these kind of hallmarks of what we tried to create as we go through, but we knew that whatever we wanted to create, it needed to be adaptable, right? AI is changing extremely quickly. We've got people who are starting their AI journey now, approximately 2 years in. Some people have a lot of experience with AI. Some people are just now getting started with that. So we needed different entry points, different starting points for people to be able to jump in and have something that's going to be beneficial for them where they currently are. Fitting busy schedules, something that's flexible. We can schedule different workshops and we can schedule events, but we wanted something that was going to be available 24/7 so that faculty can use and utilize these tools on their own schedule. Our focus is on AI literacy. So it's not on, being really adept at one particular school or one particular tool. We know that there are a lot of different tools out there, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go through. But we really wanted our training to be more tool agnostic. The university, I'm sure y'all's universities are very similar to ours in that they're still adapting and creating AI policies. We've got our instructional technology department, which has some approved tools. We have some that are preferred, but we are not focused so much on the individual tools as we are that AI literacy component that then they can share with students. And then finally, and maybe most importantly, ethical and effective uses for AI. So it's not our role to promote AI to faculty. It's not our job to go out and say, hey, you need to be using this. It's essential that you're using this in your classes. Our job is to present options and to allow them to evaluate, does this fit into my teaching context? Is this something that can make my students' lives easier? Is it something that can help achieve my learning outcomes? And then thinking about ethical and responsible ways to do that. So those are some of the factors that were in mind as we began this AI teaching library journey. Okie doke. So this was alluded to in the video as well, and you all have almost certainly seen some statistics similar to this. So this is from Inside Higher Ed in 2024. So our faculty and students and administrators are on different planes in terms of our understanding and usage of AI. So what we're seeing here, we see faculty familiarity with AI hovering around 40%. And familiarity, I mean, that can range obviously from someone who's using it every day to someone who maybe has, gone to a workshop or has explored a little bit. So familiarity is a pretty wide spectrum, I think, but only 40% as of the time of this study. More than 40%, slightly more than 40% who currently are not allowing AI use in a particular class. We'll talk about that. I know that was a question we received beforehand, is how do you get faculty to go from the no AI policy to being a little bit more receptive to potentially including it in a curriculum. And then we've got our students. So more than 70% of students believe that AI training should be integrated. I'll just say from my perspective, I was on a panel with students back in January with some faculty and administrators from around campus. Students are hungry for opportunities to use AI in the right way. And they want guidance. They want to know how to use it. And I know that we're concerned about the academic integrity piece. We're concerned about the different ways that AI is being used and maybe taking the place of critical thinking or taking the place of work and skill development that we want to be happening in the classroom. But students want to use AI and they want to use it to enhance their learning experience. And so we feel like it's our job to train faculty so that they can then pass that on to students. We know that employers are looking for students to be AI savvy or have AI knowledge when they step out into the workforce. So that's obviously a responsibility that we as an institution have, is to prepare students for that. And then careers. So employers are more likely to hire students with AI experience. So being able to document as a student that I've used AI and I've used it in this way. And for us, again, with our position in a faculty teaching center, we think that that has to go through faculty. We've got to give faculty the knowledge so that then they can demonstrate to students how to use these tools effectively and take it with them into their careers.
Okay. So what we've been trying to work with was the different things that we can do with these tools to enhance online learning for retention of students so they understand it. And in simplest ways, it's kind of make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun, and how we can actually work with this. Now, there is always that whole part of, is this being written by the student? Is it being written by AI? And you get that kind of a gray area. And the default has kind of been this stoplight approach for some courses. Red light, you can't use it. Yellow, yeah, use it somewhat. Green, go for it. So we're trying to get more of a base knowledge for that. And you go back and forth with, is Turnitin, is Grammarly, does all that catch everything? We did a test with some of this stuff with writing assignments, and it was written completely by a human, but then you ran it through Grammarly to enhance it or to correct it by tone, and then you ran it through Turnitin, and it said 78% written by AI. So it is a difficult system to navigate on what are you really trying to catch here? So with a lot of these type of interpretations, if faculty is being proactive in embracing it and working with the students on it, you can try to see what you can do to get that, more accurate, to increase the knowledge and the retention as well as the research. It's here. One of the things, a number of us were at a conference at Auburn last year in October, and one of the breaking news things is some of the Nobel Prizes were being announced, is that AI research was actually cited in some of these winning submissions. So it has actually become vetted up to that level. So it is here, and we're trying to figure out ways on how to work with that. Other things like with art history, we've got a professor that comes in and they create different things, or they want students to create imagery in the style of a Durer, Van Gogh, so they can compare and all these type of things. So on those type of levels, we're seeing those things. Real-time translation. AI, it's been around for a very long time. Netflix, Spotify are forms of AI that's being used in there. So a lot of the stuff that you've used with Microsoft Word, that's AI. Spell check. Hit tab. You can write a whole letter if you wanted to. Other things that we're seeing uses of is creating content with our vocal cloning. So we have students that can interact, and one of the videos that we have in the teaching network is how to train your AI to act as something. So we have psychology students that can try to do debates with Voltaire, with Socrates. So we've got all those type of tools that we can play with, and it's more engaging than just posting a PDF that we've found. We create a number of videos using Vyond, and Vyond can be a very good jumping off point by giving it a slight prompt, giving it the content you need in it, and then you're able to modify from there. So we're looking at it as a tool to help leverage what we're doing. Computer science, code reviews. A lot of that, it's kind of eerily scary how it does, but you can never just trust. So it's almost, you have to verify, then trust. Well, we've seen a lot of good results from this, and faculty are starting to gravitate towards it to create more media. Grading assistance and things like that, where I've actually got a story where I teach online for the University of Maryland, and they created a quiz, our department chair, and they just kind of randomly went out there without vetting things. And there's this one answer that I'm like, this is wrong. And he said, no, I know it's right. I'm like, no, you're wrong. And we found out once we traced from the GPT that he created, he was pulling information from the University of Arizona. The University of Arizona was posting every single question, right and wrong answer. So he was actually pulling from somebody's paper who made like a 35. So again, you cannot ever just trust it. And that goes for faculty, that goes for students, that goes for everybody. Group project management, that has worked out well. I'm currently in some PhD classes right now, and one of my colleagues in this group, they are a PM. Those of you that are into project management and enjoy it, great. I personally do not, because it is just so minute and granularized that it drives me a little crazy trying to figure out all the little things that I've missed. It's actually helped me summarize things, find the blocks I need to fill out. So that's just my personal aspect of dealing with that type stuff.
All right, so now we want to walk through for 5 or 10 minutes just our AI journey and how we arrived at the video library that we're gonna share here in a few minutes. So, as I mentioned, the Teaching Academy, so the role that I'm in was created about 18 months ago. So AI has really been a part of our story from the beginning. We held some AI afternoons, some workshops and seminars in the spring of 24 that we realized were extremely well attended. And then we kind of took off from there in terms of what did we want to do? How are we going to separate ourselves from other institutions and make sure we are meeting the needs of our faculty? So the AI Teaching and Learning Conference at UCF, I would guess that there are probably some people in this room who attended that conference over the last couple of years. Lee went a couple of years ago, I think, to the 2023 conference. I went last year. And so this was an opportunity for us to really get a feel for what was going on around the country with AI. So whether that's in faculty teaching centers or whether that's in administration, whether that's in creative media, there's obviously at those teaching and learning conferences, you can learn a lot about what people are doing, what they're doing well, what unique resources are out there, and just how people are approaching this issue of informing faculty about AI and training faculty to use AI. So we went to that conference and I think our eyes were open to, wow, there is a lot that is happening with AI and we need to do some catch up, or we need to think about the things that we have access to that can potentially separate or that we can utilize that's going to help us train faculty and get them the knowledge that they need to be successful when they turn to AI. So coming out of that conference, we started to create a group, or we started to create a group, maybe the wrong way. We started to pull in AI experts from around campus to start thinking about AI faculty training. And so what you're seeing on the board here is a picture of a meeting that we had, a brainstorming session. We've got faculty experts from computer science, from anthropology, from history, some folks who actually helped us once we started developing videos. But what we were doing here is we were thinking about all the different categories of AI development training that we might need to touch on. Okay, so you're seeing sticky notes on the board. You're seeing bigger like prompt engineering, multimedia, course development, lots of different categories that we could potentially build these micro resources, whether it was a video or something else we didn't know at the time. But this was the initial session where we came together and started to have some ideas, and this is happening in July of last year. So just for timeline purposes, I know that was something that people were interested in, is how long it took to pull this together. So July of last year, over the summer, we have this meeting, and I think we ended up with 60, 70 Post-it notes on the board of different potential micro learning modules that we could do, with some big categories that would eventually become our learning track. So, but that idea of comprehensive AI teaching resources, it's a little bit of an oxymoron. Comprehensive, as Lee mentioned, AI is going to change tomorrow. It changes every day. So that's why, again, that flexibility and adaptability was key into building into what we're creating. We wanted to make sure that we could change it and make sure that we could address the needs of faculty as changes are happening in AI. So at this same time, we had one of our team members do an AI resources benchmarking exercise. And so what she did is she looked at 8 different institutions. University of Florida was one of them, UCF, Auburn, University of Michigan, Virginia, Oregon State, a couple of others. And so what we were looking for is, what are the commonalities in AI faculty training? What are the pieces that we need and we need to make sure that people have access to for sure? What are some of the unique ways that people were approaching? I know like University of Florida, for instance, has the AI prompt engineering cookbook, really cool tool that you can use to get started with prompts. There were several other examples. So what's that kind of distinguishing factor of your AI training? I think that was something that we were very interested in. So a few of the takeaways: we needed a guided approach. So again, we couldn't just throw these resources at faculty and say, hey, figure it out for yourself. Again, time is valuable, so we needed to make sure that there was a guided approach to what we were doing. Customizable, again, people are at different phases of their AI journey now, so we needed to make sure that people have opportunities to jump in and access tools that are going to be useful and not necessarily start with an entire course where some of the information might be redundant to what they already know or already skills they already have. Sustainable resource engagement. So again, something that we can build on, something that we can continue to create throughout time. And then a centralized AI teaching resource portal. This is something that I think we're still working on and still trying to figure out exactly how it works. But looking at all the institutions that we looked at, and I'm sure your institutions are the same, we have really interesting things going on our campus related to AI. If you go over to the College of Business, they've got some really fascinating things happening. You look at College of Arts and Sciences, engineering, things in student services, things with us in our Office of Teaching Innovation and Digital Education. So putting all of those resources together so somebody can access, what are we, I want to use AI for research. I want to use AI for my teaching. I want to use AI for these other purposes. Creating a centralized portal where faculty can go in and access those tools was one of the takeaways from that benchmarking survey. Okay, so with all that information, we know the different tracks and the different areas of content that we want to put together. We know that we want to we want it to be adaptable. We want it to be flexible, something that we can continue to build that's not static and not something that's going to be overwhelming to our team in terms of implementation. So here's where we get into the early parts of this academic year, August, September, of pulling together what would eventually become the AI teaching network. Okay, so here's a little quote. What if every educator could confidently harness AI to transform their teaching in just 2 minutes a day? That's a little bit of a cheesy quote, perhaps, but really it is, who doesn't have a couple of minutes a day that they can devote toward development, their own personal development, whether it's AI or otherwise? And so this is something that we kind of ran with, this idea of, what if we just had these really micro learning modules that we can roll out over time? Again, we have access, and Lee will start sharing here soon about, we knew we had access to this creative media team in our office. I had worked again in instructional design previously, so we had worked closely with that group to develop media content for our UA online courses. So it was a model that we thought we could develop relatively quickly and something that faculty would be receptive to. And that was critical. Something that was very practical, user-friendly. I don't have to devote a lot of time. I can devote time as I need, and I can find things that are going to affect my teaching context. And I don't have to spend time on things that are kind of outside of my domain. And so I want to quickly highlight the KP Cross Academy. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with KP Cross Academy. It is a teaching and learning video library that was developed by our faculty director, Claire Major, along with her colleague, Elizabeth Barkley. And so the KP Cross Academy is an active learning video techniques library, along with blog posts. And now recently, we just launched the skill series to go along with that. But this is really the model that we took when we started building the AI teaching network. These are 50 plus active learning techniques that I can look at. And if I've got a class that's coming up this afternoon, I could go find one of these activities, implement it in my class. It's going to take me a couple of minutes. There are worksheets and different components that I can potentially build in, but there's a lot that I can do in a short period of time. And so we have brought the Cross Academy is now a University of Alabama resource that we're maintaining. And so we thought we had this model, and it was also when we went to that teaching and learning conference at UCF, we thought that this was potentially not necessarily a gap, but a new angle that we could take on faculty development around AI, is this video library. We didn't see that out there in terms of these micro videos that people could use with really practical, responsible use cases. So what we did is we took this KP Cross Academy and said, let's apply this to AI faculty development and see what we can do. All right, so this is then the AI Teaching Network. So it's a micro-learning video initiative, making AI accessible, manageable for all of our faculty. So we're building out this micro video library. Lee's going to get into some of the specifics, but our goal is to get the total number of videos up around 100. We've got these 7 different learning tracks that we'll get into, where faculty can filter and can find applicable information for them. You can go down one of those learning tracks and watch, 7, 8, 10 videos for that learning track, and really focus in on, course development, preparation, assessment, ethics and privacy. So lesson structure, each video is short, practical, something that I can take away. And Lee will talk a little bit about the structure of those videos and how we got them down to a condensed 2 to 3 minutes for each video. And then it's something that can be accessed at any time. It's not something that you have to, you've got 1 hour a day that you can go and, attend a workshop, or you've got some short period of time where a course is available. And it's not something that we have to be managing every day in terms of getting people in and out of a course. So it's something that people can access on demand and can use anytime that they want as they see fit. And so that brings us to the AI Teaching Network. So we, as Lee mentioned, we will share the link, and so you all can take a look and test drive the site. But the site is launched and is available now through the UA Teaching Academy website. And we'll get into some of the details of how it got created, and I'll kick it over to Lee to walk us through some of that.
So with the Teaching Network, what we did is Claire Major, the faculty director, she crafted kind of a shell for what she wanted to see. And from her best practices, and also from what we do with our content delivery system media site, we can see, what's the engagement on videos. And we all know, from either mayor's principles of multimedia production or just from experience, you get past 5, 6, 7 minutes, people stop watching. And we have a heat map that pretty much illustrates that. So what we have done is, basically do the chunking, segmenting, and get those videos down. So Claire kind of developed this shell. Laura, Lawrence, Katie, and soon Tyler, myself, and a host of others will take that shell, put our content in that, so we can have these kind of bite-sized pieces to put out there. And then we enhance it with some graphics and some instruction. The thing is, my philosophy with a lot of this is the best way to see if something's going to work for you is to try to break it. So we're trying to give you all this information so that you can go out there and try it and see. Trial and error is the best way to find out, is this going to work for you? And if it doesn't, at least you have that experience now and you're exposed to it. So we started with the recruiting of all that, of getting different people from around campus to come in and, get those different perspectives, because someone can say they're an AI expert. They're not. This changes so fast and so rapidly. I was teaching a class with Jason Miller, our director of IT. And in the middle of the class, we found out the whole breaking news about DeepSeek. Everything is just changing incredibly fast. And with a lot of this, as being that we're consuming it, we are the product. We're helping to shape this by crafting the large language models and such. So with that theory, we're going to get more information out there and almost kind of flood the area with all these little small videos that you can find little bits of information that if you do find this daunting or overwhelming, it'll help you ease you into that. So these are our studio spaces. Here's our large control room. We can do different things in there. Primarily what we use for these is this green screen area here. We can set up any type of virtual reality environment. We try to go kind of simple with what we have. We also can do our vocal cloning. Here is our audio session, our audio room called the Cube. So a lot of that there, we're finding a lot of good benefits with vocal cloning, because we have some faculty, they really don't want to have their voice done. They can come in. We had a professor just last week. She is from Bulgaria. She did not want her voice to be used for her class, but she came in and we crafted a voice with a Bulgarian accent, and she was very happy with that. So now we have that, and we always get into the ethics of all this. We also have a general counsel agreement that is signed by that faculty member, signed by myself, as well as vetted through all our attorneys here, so that we do have some legal liabilities and restrictions put in and safeguards. And there's just a little preview of some of the future videos that we have coming that Tyler and I will be working on. Okay. Looking at doing 100+ videos. Currently, we're at 35. We've got a new crop of faculty and staff coming in to record more. They're going to be put into different learning tracks. We've already got some of those created. Again, the video duration, 2 to 3 minutes, 4.5 hours. Sure, that could be the total time by the time we're done, if not longer.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that, Lee. The total duration, 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, those videos are really set up, 30 seconds of an introduction of a problem or introduction of a concept, about 60 seconds to 90 seconds where we're going through a prompt or a way that we're going to explain that concept. And then the last 30 seconds is typically best practices and reviewing your work. So, really trying to give and this is something that's been a little bit of an iterative process and learning experience as our faculty come in, trying to give them a nice template to work from in terms of how to create those scripts, and even potentially using AI to generate scripts, which I know we've played around with a little bit. So really trying to keep consistency and make that as easy as possible for our faculty experts as they come in.
So, yeah, so a lot of this, we've gone over this before, and as we're following new things, we're finding out that now the university's going to be standing up an AI computer with dedicated LLMs per course. So, large language models. You can create your own GPT, generative pre-trained transformer, and each faculty, say if you normally have 20 to 25 PDFs uploaded into your course, you can now upload this into this GPT, develop your own LLM, make sure that the safeguards are on, that they can't go out to the web, so there are no hallucinations, and it can actually be a pure training tool to get information. And if you ask it something it doesn't know, it's going to tell you it's not in my reference library. So there's a lot of different ways that we can go with these things. So we want to be able to provide these in these videos, and with these videos being short, they're kind of easy to redo. We don't have a 25 or 30-minute video that, hey, this little section doesn't work anymore. We can just replace the video. As well as we talk about different apps and such, we had really started using Alpaca a lot. Well, October 25th of last year, Alpaca went away. And that's going to happen more and more. A lot of these AI startups are going to fail. These are all the different hit tracks that we have. One of the things we definitely want to do is AI history and foundations. So what people understand, what is weak AI? What is strong AI? The acronym LLM, GPT. What was the birth of modern AI? We want to be able to go through all those type of things so that people just feel more comfortable with the history of it. Prompt engineering, that's the key to everything. And the easiest thing right now, if you're stuck on a prompt, go to ChatGPT and say, I need a prompt for Adobe Firefly to create this image. And it will give you that negative and positive prompts. And that's another thing we want to get into, is teaching what is a negative prompt, because a lot of people don't know what that is. Course design and prep. A lot of these tools are being introduced as different functions in Blackboard Ultra, in Canvas, the different things that IDs are going to be getting more and more into and seeing what's there. The assessment and grading, we've talked about. The multimedia, we've been having really good success with. We've done a simulated podcast between Benjamin Franklin and Richard Nixon. The professor wrote all the blocks of text of what they wanted as the context of what this was. We created vocal clones that sounded like Nixon, which was an easy sample to get, and then we crafted one for Ben Franklin, as well as teaching students about AI. And half the time the students are teaching us. So they're playing with a lot of it, they're doing a lot of it, and it's kind of been fun for us because it's something new to embrace, and that's what we really want to be able to, share with the faculty that this is a new thing. It's fun, and it's coming. I mean, we've gone through this in so many different stages, going all the way back to movable type. It's new. It's going to be here. And 2 years from now, everything we're doing right now, it's going to be old hat.
Right.
So yeah, we talked about writing prompts, teaching students to verify information, which is the number one thing. The hallucinations can be really extreme. So they really need to understand that. One of the videos, and you saw that little bit of a sample, Lawrence Capello, he provides AI content, but he intentionally has parts of it be fictional so that they can go in and they have to learn how to critically think and try to figure out what is right and what is wrong. Student privacy and AI. You get into a lot of that stuff. The university has done a very good job, and sometimes we find it to be almost too restrictive on some of the apps that we were allowed to use. But something like Midjourney, which does amazing image generation, every image gets posted to Discord, so you don't own that copyright. You don't have anybody can take that image and do whatever they want with. So we have Adobe Firefly. Adobe's really good that if you say you want John Wayne in a Star Trek costume, it will stop you. It does not allow anything that's copywritten. But anything that you do with it and create with it, all of a sudden it is yours, because they have taken all their information from public sources, what you have created now has got embedded in it your content tag. So that's one of the ways to try to be able to create with that type of stuff and not worry about copyright. How to cite AI. That's been an interesting thing going on to Purdue OWL. And I always find different ways of how people are citing AI. And I think that's still an evolving thing. Ethics, how to avoid plagiarism, that all kind of ties together. And that is, when we first went to that conference 2 years ago, we went to all these different sessions, and within 10 minutes, almost every single session devolved into talking about ethics. And yes, it's very important, but we need to figure out, actually how to use the tools so we can get into those ethical debates first.
All right, I know we're getting close to time, so just very quickly. So one thing we want to make sure that we're doing with this project is assessing, right? So with the video library, with the learning tracks, and we will say too, there may be some questions about that, but this is all still very much fluid in terms of the way we're developing this. We're not dead set and, we're having X number of videos for X number of topics, but we do want to assess the effectiveness and make sure that faculty are getting what we want out of them. So a proposed research study, as we continue building this out, just quickly what we're thinking in terms of an opportunity to gain some information from faculty. So we want to recruit faculty to engage in a research study with us and utilize these videos over the course of 4 weeks. Have a pre and post survey about their AI experiences, their AI knowledge, their satisfaction, their understanding. Have a focus group where we get into some more qualitative information, what their experiences were like, what they would like to see more of, that type of thing. And then data analysis and results. And I think we've got one more slide kind of explaining what we would be looking for. So yes, again, mixed methods in terms of both qualitative and quantitative. Sorry, slideshow's going bonkers here for a second. But yeah, looking at faculty knowledge, looking at attitude changes, looking at self-efficacy and using AI tools, platform usage analytics. I know that's a question that we saw before the session started in terms of how utilized is this? And as Lee mentioned, we have 35 videos that are out now that we launched that full group back in January. So it's really only been a couple of months at this point. We have had more than 500 users so far, though. I did check that this morning, which is great. And we know that we've got to continue to build that audience. This has been an opportunity, hopefully, to get the word out. And we're trying to take opportunities to present both, of course, on our campus to faculty and just continue to spread the word about these tools and also set up some specific groups and ways that people can engage, whether through a research study like this or otherwise, to collect information and make sure that what we're creating is doing what we want it to do, which is meet the needs of faculty and make them feel more comfortable and prepared and give them ideas of ways that they can use AI in their teaching and learning. All right, so timeline and next steps. So we've been through this. So initial videos, 35 videos were recorded and released. And I should say those first set of videos were recorded in September, I believe. I think we recorded all 35 in September and went through the development and editing process with those over the course of the next few months. As Lee said, we're lining up for a second round of recording post spring break here to get some new folks in and continue building out the library, with a goal of getting toward 100 videos by next academic year. And again, we continue to be fluid with those goals, but that's a target that we have. We want to continue, as we said, to assess and make sure that we are meeting the needs of faculty based on their feedback. And then what does the next step in the resource development look like? So using the Cross Academy as an example, there may be opportunities to build resources around the videos. So supplemental worksheets, a prompt cookbook, a prompt book that gives the prompts that are used in all the different videos that people could access and use anytime. So there's a lot of different directions that it can go. And so I think one thing that we've appreciated being a new, Center for Teaching and Learning, a new teaching academy, is we're not very set in our ways because we're building everything right now anyway. And so we can take this in any direction that we see fit based on, as long as we are taking in accounts from our leadership and faculty and making sure that we're addressing and meeting those needs. Okie doke. So if anyone wants to check out the website, you can do so using that QR code. We also got the URL there, uateachingacademy.ua.edu/AI Teaching Network. We'd love to hear from you. You see our emails there. We'd love to get any feedback or any thoughts that you all have.